My son had 5 tantrums a day. 5. And I'm not talking about quiet crying or pouting. I'm talking about full-blown meltdowns, screaming, throwing himself on the floor, throwing objects, that crying that seems to have no end. And me? I was exhausted. Every morning I woke up with a heavy heart because I knew that at some point that day, probably before breakfast had even cooled down, it would start. And it always did. Because of the wrong dish, or the clothes he didn't want to wear, or because the cartoon had ended, or because the world wasn't exactly as he expected it to be. And there, in those moments of his despair and my exhaustion, I found myself doing everything wrong, yelling back, threatening, feeling a guilt that hurt in my chest. I knew this wasn't how I wanted to be as a mother, but it seemed like there was no other way out, until a friend told me about a method that Korean families have been using for generations. She said it was simple, that it only took a minute, and that in 3 days I would see a difference. I laughed. I thought it was just another one of those internet things that promise miracles, but I was so desperate that I decided to try it. And what happened in those 3 days completely changed the way my son and I relate to each other. Before I talk about the days themselves, I need to explain exactly what I started doing. Because this method isn't about talking nicely or having infinite patience. It's about following a specific sequence of actions that calm the child's nervous system in about 60 seconds. It seems impossible. I know I thought so too. But there is neurological logic behind it. When a child throws a tantrum, their brain triggers a panic alarm. It's as if that minor setback, which to us adults is nothing, is a life or death emergency for them. The part of the brain that rationalizes, that can say it's not that serious, is not yet developed. So the child really feels like the world is falling apart. And when we yell, pull, threaten, or try to control them too quickly, their brain understands that the danger has increased. The emotional storm only gets worse. It becomes an endless cycle. This is what the expert who developed this approach realized by observing Korean families. They do the opposite of what our instincts tell us to do. Instead of speeding up, they slow down. Instead of trying to stop the emotion, they embrace it, and it works. So I decided to test it. For 3 days in a row, every time my son had a meltdown, I would follow exactly the same ritual, always without fail, even if it seemed ridiculous, even if I was tired, even if it was the 5th tantrum of the day. The first day was the hardest. It was a Monday morning. My son woke up and went straight to the kitchen. He wanted the dark blue cup. I had already poured juice into the light blue cup. There we go. It started. He threw the cup on the floor and threw himself down screaming. My first impulse was the same as always, anger rising, that urge to tell him he was being ridiculous, that it was just a cup. But I took a deep breath. I literally stopped, took a breath, exhaled slowly, and did what the method dictates. I lowered myself to his eye level. I didn't say anything yet. I just stood there, crouched down, looking at him calmly. He continued screaming. I kept breathing. After a few seconds, I put my hand on his shoulder, a firm but gentle touch. He tried to pull away. I kept my hand there. I breathed again, loudly so he could hear, and then I spoke, in the lowest, calmest voice I could muster. You wanted the dark blue glass, and I gave you the wrong one. You're very angry about that. I understand. I didn't correct him. I didn't explain. I didn't say that the 2 glasses were the same. I just validated him. And something happened that surprised me. He stopped screaming for a second. He looked at me. His face was still red. Tears were still streaming down his cheeks, but something had changed. I took another deep breath very slowly and said, "Let's breathe together. When you're ready, we'll figure it out." And I did. I took 3 deep breaths very slowly. He looked at me, sobbing, and on the 3rd breath, he copied me. The crying subsided. It didn't stop completely, but it subsided. In less than a minute, he was calmer. I washed the light blue cup, filled it with juice again, and offered him the dark blue one. He took it, he drank it, and he went on with his day. I stood there in the kitchen in disbelief. It had worked, but then came the 2nd tantrum, and the 3rd. On that first day, there were 4. Each time it happened, I repeated the ritual: stop, breathe, bend down, look, touch, validate, invite calm, always in the same order, and with each one the crisis time was shorter. The fourth tantrum of the day, which happened at bedtime because he didn't want to brush his teeth, lasted less than 30 seconds. I sat on the edge of the bed, put my hand on his chest, and said, "You don't want to brush your teeth right now, I know. It's boring to stop playing." He grumbled, but he didn't scream. We breathed together, and he went to brush his teeth. I slept that night exhausted, but with a different feeling. It wasn't that exhaustion mixed with guilt. It was just physical tiredness. I hadn't yelled once. The second day was the real test, because it was grocery store day, and the grocery store was always a battlefield. My son would see candy, ask for it, I would say no, and the drama would begin. This time, when he picked up a chocolate bar and I said we weren't going to buy it, he started crying loudly. People looked. My face flushed. I felt ashamed, but I remembered. Stop. Breathe. Get down. Right there in the middle of the aisle, between the cookie shelves and people passing by, I crouched down. I got down to his level. I looked him in the eyes. I put my hand on his shoulder, and I said quietly, "I know you really want that chocolate. It's very difficult when we can't have what we want." A lady passed by us and smiled. Another stopped and said quietly, "You're doing the right thing." I held his hand. I took a deep breath very loudly. He imitated me. The crying subsided. In less than a minute, he let go of the chocolate, took my hand, and we moved on. No trauma, no fight. No horrible feeling that I had lost control or that he had beaten me. We just moved on. That day, he threw 3 tantrums. 3, 2 fewer than the day before, and all of them were resolved with the same ritual. I was beginning to believe that it wasn't luck. On the third day, something changed. It really changed. In the morning, he wanted to wear his Spider-Man shirt, but it was dirty. I saw the frustration rising on his face. I was already expecting the scream, but before he exploded, I bent down. I looked at him and I said, "You wanted your Spider-Man shirt, right? It's dirty." That makes us angry. He looked at me, his eyes filled with tears, but he didn't scream. He took a deep breath, just like I had taught him in the previous days, and he said with a trembling voice, "Then I want the Batman one." That was it. Problem solved. No tantrum. I stood there, holding the shirt in disbelief. For the first time in months, he had managed to deal with frustration without breaking down. His brain was learning. On that third day, he threw 2 tantrums, just 2, and both times he calmed down in less than 40 seconds. He already knew what to expect from me. He knew I would come down, that I would look at him, that I would speak softly, that I would breathe with him. He knew I wasn't going to yell, I wasn't going to fight, but I wasn't going to change the limit either. No was still no. But the way I said no had changed everything. What I learned in those 3 days was not that my son stopped feeling frustration. He still feels it. He still wants things he can't have. He still gets angry when things don't go as he expects. The difference is that now he has an adult who doesn't panic with him. He has someone who bends down, who looks, who breathes, who says, "I understand, I'm here, we'll get through this together." And that changes everything. His brain is learning that big emotions aren't dangerous, that he can feel anger, sadness, frustration, and still be safe, that the world doesn't end when he doesn't get what he wants. And I, for my part, have learned that 60 seconds of intentional calm are worth infinitely more than half an hour of fighting, punishment, and that heavy atmosphere that lasts all day. Today, 2 weeks after that 3-day test, the tantrums still happen. Of course they do. He's 3 years old, but they're different. They are smaller. And when they start, I know exactly what to do. I no longer panic. I no longer feel that suffocating guilt of failing. I stop. I breathe. I calm down. I look. I touch. I validate. I invite calm. And it works. It always works. Not because I am controlling my son, but because I am teaching his brain to regulate itself. I'm showing him that he can trust me, even when he's falling apart. That I won't leave, I won't yell, I won't punish him for feeling. I'll just be there, steady and calm until the storm passes. So if you're reading this and recognize this exhaustion, this guilt, this fear of parenting wrong, I want to tell you something. You are not alone. And there's still time. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to get it right every time. But the next time he has a tantrum, try. Just try stop. Take a deep breath, get down to your child's level, look him calmly in the eyes, put your hand on his shoulder, and say what he's feeling. That's it. Validate the emotion, even if it seems silly. Breathe together and watch what happens. Watch how their body responds, how their crying changes, how you both come out of it differently. Because ultimately, it's not about eliminating tantrums. It's about teaching your child that they can feel everything they need to feel and still be loved, seen, and welcomed. And that's what builds an emotionally healthy child. Not the absence of limits, but presence in the chaos.